another May I Scraplift You, hosted by Pineapple Papers over here on YouTube, which is actually Crystal Barrett, if you guys follow her on any other type of social media. And wow, I have a mess on my desk. So who am I scraplifting today? I am scraplifting Miranda Weber right here. She is a close to my heart consultant. Really awesome. And I just found out that doing this, she was scraplifting someone else. Ha! Isn't that cool? So I'm doing a scraplift of a scraplift of a scraplift. Anyways, I find, humor in all things simplified. And I just watched her process and was blown away by how she did it, because I normally start my own process before watching theirs, or while I'm watching theirs, I do my own process. And so I thought it was kind of funny because I wanted to see all what she had involved in hers. And then as I was listening and watching, I pulled out all the things. So it's unbelievable. And then I kind of have a puppy underneath me. So if it looks like I'm doing something really weird, it's because I'm trying not to step on his head. And then you guys hear a big yelp and make it look like I'm mean to my dog. So first thing I did was I pulled out some stencils. Actually, that's not the first thing I did, but first thing that I have on top, which must have been the last thing I did, if that makes any sense, is I pulled out these two stencils. I can't remember which one these are by. This one, I believe, is an Echo Park. It's my favorite stencil in the whole wide world. It's just a whole bunch of broken lines going at a diagonal, and I used it forever in like 2019, 18, something like that, and I finally put it in my book, and I really haven't touched it since, which is weird, because when it was on my desk, I actually have a little clip right here that it hung on, and I reached for it all the time. And then when I put it in my book finally, I flip through my book now and I grab other stencils, is basically what I'm saying. Not just this one, because it was convenient, which is probably why I grabbed it all the time, because it was convenient. So I have that, and then I have my title right here. It just says "To Be Continued" is the one I'm going to do, and I might throw in these little hearts. I almost call them stars, but I'm not really sure yet. We'll find out how this goes, because I'm kind of going in a circular fashion. Now, I also have this die, which I don't think I'm going to be using. It's just a circle die, and then I also have these circle stamps that I absolutely love. I have these, they're called postage stamps right here, and they're my only Wild Whisper stamp set that I own. So I have those, and then I have this Stampin' Up! Set right here that is the swirly frames, and I love these little swirly bits right here. Then, of course, my favoriteest grungy stamp set ever is Gorgeous Grunge by Stampin' Up! Woo! Then I have these ones here. I believe they're Bo Bunny. And it's just this awesome mixed media stamp set. Super cool. And then, of course, a close to my heart. No, it's not. I lied. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. This is, close to my heart had one similar, but it was only like a single stamp instead of all of these. This is a Not Just for Boys stamp set. I apologize, you guys, for the misinformation. I am doing another 8.5 by 11 photo, and I'm photographing these 3 times that my daughter went to get her braces done. And then, of course, the empty chair, because they took her out of the room to go do something that I wasn't allowed to go do with. Anyways, squirreled. So anywho, I am going to be scrap lifting these photos, 8.5 by 11, and then I picked out these 3 ink pads. Again, oh, you guys can't see them. I'm sorry. I'm not very good at picking out my colors. So I basically went off of, one, the colors in the photo. So it looked like Seedless Preserve. I've got this dark plum color, so that's where I picked out Seedless Preserve. And then 2, I went off of Miranda's colors, where she picked a tealy, bluey color, so I went with Speckled Egg. And then she picked a yellow, which I can't remember what it was, but I wanted a dark yellow. So, hey, it's just paper. I'll throw it away if I don't like it and start all over again, you know, if I need to. So that is what I'm going to be doing. Yeah, I don't have any pattern paper as of yet picked out, but I do have my my stack of colorful patterns if I need to grab those. So let's get started. So the first thing that I noticed was that when I tried to use this paper previously with water, I didn't like the effect of it. So I decided that I was going to really quickly gesso this paper. Now, while that's off drying, I'm going to select some pattern paper. Now, this is my stack of kind of tone on tone paper, that loose paper I was telling you guys about that I was trying to work my way through. And I was really quickly thumbing through it to see if I even had purple. And I had 2 pieces of purple, go me, and they both happened to match what I was trying to do in this layout. And I thought, oh my gosh, that's absolutely perfect. So one's close to my heart, and the other one is kind of like from those paper stacks. And it was like a galaxy. It was kind of like a geode galaxy type paper stack. And I love the variation of color within this purple pattern paper. Now, I don't plan on using both of them. I thought that I was going to, and then I thought, well, wait a minute. No, I'm only doing an 8.5 by 11. One piece is probably going to be too much as it is. So the first thing I did was check out which of these circular stamps fit inside my punches that I planned on using. And that's what made the decision of what I was going to stamp. So some of the stamps didn't make the cut. All of the ones that I pulled out, I just was interested in, but if I didn't have a punch large enough, then it wasn't going to work. So I'm just trying my hand right now to see if they, what they looked like within the punch. I wanted to make sure, because sticking the stamp over the punch is kind of a rough guesstimate, but then I really needed to see what it looked like. So punched them all, or I stamped them all. Now I'm punching them. I had to go and get a larger punch for the other circles. They looked like, or these smaller circles, I should say, they looked like they were going to fit in my, I think it was like 1.5 inch punch, but I had to go get my 1 3/4. So it's okay. Now that it is dry, I'm just going to rub my Distress ink over my gesso. Now I can also tell where I missed my gesso and the color just soaked right in. And basically what I'm doing is a little technique I learned from Vicki Boutin, which is continuing to add color. So what she does is she puts on a first layer and then completely dries it and then adds another layer. And then you're using the same color, but you're getting that tone on tone effect and the dark and the light and the shaded areas by adding more color to it. So hey, I learned something, you guys. Yay. All right. And then I'm also using these magnets to hold my paper down. So that way when I stamp, it doesn't get all like blurry, because I'm trying to push the paper down and the stamp, and the curled part, it rubs up against, you know what I'm saying. It's awful. I also have to keep in mind, which I don't, so I have a lot of black smudges all over this layout, that my ink, because it's pigment and I'm stamping on gesso, it is not going to dry. I actually have to heat set this stamp, which took forever and a day. It really did. So first thing I did was I let it off to the side. I set it off to the side and I let it air dry. Then I air dry, then I heat set it. Then I air dried it some more, and then I heat set it some more. It was awful. Really, really awful. I didn't even think about that when I stamped, to be honest, or when I gessoed. So now I'm taking this, what's it called? Like a honeycomb yellow stamp. I froze up. That's okay. And you guys probably don't even see it freeze up, but it's annoying because I don't know what I'm doing. And by the time that I come back, it's like, oh, I moved on. Whoops. So I just took the bubble stamp, and because I didn't want it to be stark black, I stamped it off on a paper towel and then stamped on my gesso. So now I'm going to get a little gray once it's kind of sort of dried. So there it is, all dried. And I decided to do my stripes up and down rather than left and right, because I have the postage stamps going left and right. So, and then I went to my binder. My binder has all of these little foamy things for my blender brushes. I kind of sort of stopped buying them when I purchased my my actual blender brushes. So I stopped buying the foam, excuse me, but I do have a few of these foam daubers, I guess I should say, or foam, I don't know, applicators in a few colors. But yeah, I keep them all in a little binder in 2x2 little squares. I learned that little trick from a fellow YouTuber here. Her name is Kim Ferguson, and I just absolutely loved how she had all of her little daubers in the two by two little squares in a little binder. So I definitely adapted it and adopted it for my needs. Thank you, Kim. Just deciding where I want what, and I have to be careful because, again, what I'm putting on the gesso is not drying. This is all totally wet, but it makes putting ink through a stencil so smooth, you guys. I didn't have to hardly put any pressure or anything, and the color of it is just so stark and bright and vibrant. Oh, wow. It really is. So, anywho, there's my yellow, and of course, before I can apply my purple, I do have to dry this. I took out all of the drying portion of it, you guys. It was just, you know, something that I don't like watching, and it's just my heat gun going over really super fast, and in super speed mode, it kind of bugs my eyes out. So yeah, I take it out. Didn't think you guys needed to see the drying part, but once it is dry, I'm allowed to go in with my purple. Now, if I was to have added my purple onto the onto the yellow without drying it, it definitely would have smeared my yellow, and it would have blended the two colors together, which is an effect that would have looked good, but not what I was going for, not what I was looking for. And in Miranda's, in her I keep calling it a sketch. It's not a sketch. In her layout, this is exactly what she did. Was she took, you know, a color through a stencil and another color through a stencil, and you know, she actually painted her background on instead of what I did. I'm lazy. I didn't paint mine. And because I wanted all three of these photos to go up and down the color, you know, the large strip that I put on the right, they were too big. And so, yeah, I have to make a decision of which one, you know, do I want, you know, to just not do. And I decided to not have the one where she's wearing shorts. It tells the same story. It's pretty much the exact same that, you know, what the gal's doing to her mouth. And so I thought, you know, the story is portrayed. It is there. So it's okay. And I'm good. And now I am just going through and putting in my circles, just like Miranda did. Yes, I am. Which actually I was completely shocked when I found out that she actually painted some pattern papers pink and her circles were punched out paper. I would not have known that at first glance of looking at her layout. Now I cannot not see it. If that makes sense. But yeah, when I first saw it, I honestly thought she took like a really huge sponge dauber and inked purple circles and then stamped black over them. That is exactly what I thought she had done. And if I wouldn't have seen, if I didn't see her video first, and then go with the paper route, I probably would have tried to get large purple circles on my layout and then stamped. Because that's what I had in my brain of what was going on. So I tried to get my circles to go behind the photos. Like I tried to build down, and then I decided, nope, I'm going to put my circles where I feel they are needed the most, and then put my photos, you know, in and around, you know, over the circles. I'm going to do the circles first is what I'm going to do. It wasn't working for me trying to put the circles after I found the photos. And basically what I was trying to do also is cover up my smudges. You guys can't really see them, but because I didn't realize that nothing was going to dry over the gesso, that, yeah, I had a huge mess of smeared ink everywhere. I hid it well, especially if you guys can't see it. But in the close-ups, you guys will get to see it really, really close up, because honestly, it's like, oh my goodness, what a mess. Seriously, it doesn't look good. So I finally made up my marbles of how I wanted it to go. I did choose the darker purples over the lighter purples. And then I looked at Miranda's one more time to see how many circles roughly she had, but she also had a 12 by 12 layout. So she wasn't trying to do it on such a smaller scale. Now, would I have been happier if I had smaller circles? Probably not. And some of these circles, because of the gaps in between the swirls, I probably could have used smaller punches to make the appearance of them being smaller. So if I wanted to do that, but I really liked the large circles. I really wanted to have large, ginormous purple circles all over my layout. I mean, doesn't everybody? I think so. I do. And I just love these stamps, you guys. So the 4 stamps that I ended up using on here, besides the smaller stamps, the very smallest ones, the other 4 stamps came from Tuesday Morning. I bought them in sets of 2. So there were 2 stamp sets that I just combined, and now I have 4 stamps, if that makes sense. But that is basically what I did. I picked them up on my very first ever trip to Tuesday Morning. I've only been to Tuesday Morning once, by the way. I haven't been to another Tuesday Morning after that, ever. So yeah, it's okay though. From the sounds of it, I'm not missing much. Hopefully they'll get back into the swing of things here pretty soon. But yeah, we went for a walk and made our way over to Tuesday Morning. And I used air quotes when I said walk. The 2 gals that I was with would say otherwise, it was more of a hike than it was a walk. But yeah, it's okay. It'll be okay. So gluing down my photos really quickly. It seems like I'm going in slow motion on this. And I think what it was is I was just trying to make sure that before I use all this glue, that this is where I want to be. So my thing is that I've always seen other creators use liquid glue on gesso. They always say that nothing sticks with gesso. So my gesso, I don't know what it is, and I don't remember the name brand of it. It's just whatever I picked up at Joann's. Mine doesn't seem to have a grit to it. Or is it just such a fine grit that I don't feel it? I'm not sure. But my gesso is very smooth, and I go off of what other people do. I'm a huge copycat, you guys. Because if they don't get their stuff to stick on the gesso, then I'm not going to try it. I'm just going to do as they say and use the liquid glue, even though I don't feel the grit that they feel, or the texture and whatnot. So I'm using liquid glue basically because that's what they recommended. That's what they do. They being all the creators that have used gesso prior to me using gesso. So anyways, moving on to my title, I decided I did not want it to be white. So I'm going to just take my alcohol marker here and color it in really quickly to be black. Well, because I'm impatient, I color it in really quick, and I color it in like I saturate it. I totally saturate this these foam words, sorry. And then I daub them up with a napkin because they're foam stamps right now. I'm creating foam stamps. So if I was to have taken these to another piece of paper and stuck the paper over them and smushed, the ink would have transferred. So yeah, I have to, saturate the words with this ink. And then once I get the darkness that I want, I soak up that ink, the extra ink that was on top, with paper towel. Now, I only stamp the paper towel about 2 times. And then I push it, I test it with my hands. And then that way to see if there's no more transfer. So the only thing that I'm trying to avoid is the, what's it called? Is the ink getting on my page protector, because of course it's going to all shift and things like that because of the fact that it's, what's the word? It's alcohol based. So it will transfer onto my slick page protector. And so that's basically all I'm trying to avoid. So here it is. This is the final little pressing, and I'm just pressing it on really, really good. And the reason why I press a couple times instead of just one and done is because I want to see that it's the color that I want it. I don't want to pick up too much of the color, but I also want to be able to, not transfer any more color, if that makes sense. So I just stuck my thumb in it to make sure that it was not going to transfer anymore. And yep, I was happy with it. Here it goes. Adding it to my layout. These are very good foam thickers. These are like one of the very first thicker sets that I've ever owned. So yeah, and that's probably why they're almost gone too. Anyways, I laid them on top of the empty chair because it is to be continued. This is like I said, a 5-year story going on. I probably cut all that out because I squirreled so many times. But yeah, this was a 5-year long little, adventure that we went on with her braces, and it was awful. So I debated on the hearts, and then I thought, you know what, I just don't really feel like coloring them all black, plus they're all a little bit too big. So I went to my travel bin of enamel dots, and I started just pulling out all of the black ones. The first set that I pulled out was a little on the gray side, and so I thought, nope, I want pure black, and I just started sticking them all, and I do end up using both of these strips of enamel dots because I wanted to cover up the smudges, you guys. That's what I'm using them for. Especially these larger ones. They were like absolutely perfect for covering up the smudges. I absolutely loved it. Here up in the upper left corner, you can kind of, not corner, but upper left section of the layout, you can definitely see I have a big old huge smudge right there, which I do actually cover up with more gesso, just to let you guys know, because it was awful. That was the worst smudge. There was the others, it was okay. It kind of looked like the mixed media background, and I was okay with that. And I absolutely love how this turned out. It's bright and colorful, but yet it's not like bright neon bright and rainbow colorful. It's got the bright colors, but it's not, I don't know, you guys. I just really liked it. So I also decided to contain all of this stuff by drawing a squiggly border. I do 2 lines because that's the squiggle part. I draw the first line, which, I can't draw a straight line to save my life. And then I draw a second line, and then it makes it look like I drew the first crooked line on purpose. And I love how it looks now contained. It looks like it's a finished product that I'm not going to add anything else to it. So here it is. Thanks for listening to me just ramble on and on and on. I'll have Miranda's information linked down below. Be sure to check out everyone else that has been playing along. I've noticed lots and lots of people. And then there's also a couple people on Facebook that have just wanted to join in as well because they thought that this was such a great idea, to contribute, or not contribute. What is the word? Play tribute to someone that inspires them. So, and I definitely agree with all of that. So anyways, I will check y'all tomorrow. Bye.